Well, there we go. That's pretty much everything that has to do with WrestleMania in the bag. Granted, having seen everything that has happened post-mania, feel like I maybe should have just made a video right. I feel like I maybe should have just made a video right after WrestleMania. Well, not right after, because one of the reasons I skipped the main event was so I could sleep. By the way, yes, if anyone doubted me, I did skip the main event. As soon as the advertisement for 36 that is going to be in Tampa Bay, and that graphic showed up showing the people who was going to be in the main event. As soon as it did, I turned off the network, turned off my PlayStation 4, turned off the TV, and went to sleep. Woke up the next morning and found out my prediction was wrong. Well, that was one of 5 predictions I got wrong. Overall, I got 11 correct that night. Again, if you see me move towards the computer, it's purely towards the camera, which is a computer. Because again, no, I don't have a camera, a real one, that is. It's only because I need to just keep it going. That's purely it. So it doesn't go to black anymore. Well, anyway. Well, I have a Wikipedia page up again, just so I can remember what order those matches were, because I'm going to talk a little bit about how I felt about the event as a whole, with the exception of the main event. And I'm going to give a small talk about the about what happened post WrestleMania, you know, with Raw and SmackDown, because even though I've already spoiled that, there wasn't really that much to talk about, with the exception of 2 things. There's only 2 things. But anyway, let's get started, and we'll start with the pre-show. And we started off with the Cruiserweight Championship match, Tony Nese versus Buddy Murphy. It was a good match. It was a really good match. And again, I expected as much, because both men are really good in the ring. The only thing it suffered from was it was the pre-show. It was the pre-show, so obviously they were going to sprinkle in a couple of advertisements, particularly I really hate when they do this, but they on the pre-show there's usually a time where they put the match as a small screen, then they put a giant advertisement for one of the upcoming matches on the main card. Again, this is why you don't want to be on the pre-show. Another reason is this was the first match on the pre-show, which meant everyone hadn't gotten into the arena yet, so the crowd was a bit sparse. I mean, there were still people there, but let's never forget WrestleMania 32, in which they had a problem getting people inside the arena, so pretty much everyone missed the first pre-show match, Kalisto versus Ryback, for the US title. Granted, that's not really a match you need to see, but again, this is why you don't want to be the first match on the pre-show. But yeah, good match, and I'm happy for Tony Nese. And it looks like his story with Buddy Murphy is over, because they had a rematch on 205 Live, and Tony Nese picked up the win. So hey. Let's see. The next was the Women's Battle Royal, and once again, I was proven correct when I said that Asuka was a fool's pick, because what happened to her? She got all the way till the end of the match, and then she was eliminated by Sarah Logan, of all people. Although, there was a couple of things that pissed me off about this match. One, of all people, Dana Brooke was given a big moment in that match by eliminating 2 members of the Riot Squad and standing tall against them after they'd used their numbers advantage to take out a couple of people. Another thing was a certain person who I thought was injured appeared in this match, Ember Moon. And while I'm certainly happy Ember is back, it just raises a question why she couldn't have been just moved over to SmackDown. If they were looking for a worthy opponent for Asuka, couldn't they just moved Ember over to SmackDown and given her a shot? And finally, the ending. Now, Carmella winning doesn't really mean much, considering, you know, again, like I mentioned, the pre-show Battle Royal, it means nothing and it's not going to help anyone. However, I hate how they had her win. They had her win the same way that Naomi did, where we thought the match was over when Sarah Logan dumped Asuka out. However, as it turns out, Carmella was hiding under the ring, just like Naomi did last year. Yeah, so it's basically a repeat. So much for that dumb Battle Royal. Like I said, it's a pointless Battle Royal. It's not worth a damn thing. Moving on, we have the tag team match. Kurt Hawkins and Zack Ryder versus The Revival. And my prediction came true. Kurt Hawkins' losing streak finally ended. And he is now the Raw Tag Team Champion. And I believe they might have had a rematch on Raw, which Hawkins and Ryder won again. Though I'm not entirely sure about it. I know they competed on Raw, but I'm not entirely sure if it was a rematch for the title. But as for the match itself, it was actually really good. It was kind of standard tag match, but you know, for a pre-show, that's fair enough. It's a fine match, and there was nothing that I heard that much. And the ending was interesting. You know, I think it was Scott Dawson who hit Kurt Hawkins with a brainbuster. Damn, I thought that move was banned, but I've seen it a lot more recently. Rolled him back in, and then out of nowhere roll up, 1, 2, 3. Nice. So yeah, Hawkins and Ryder, new tag team champions. Hopefully their reign isn't too short. I mean, short, that they can get a little bit of a run with things. Oh well. Up next, we have the final match on the pre-show, the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. To which, yeah, this match was, what can I say, I mean, again, pointless Battle Royal. There was some good showings from some people here and there. Like my pick, Andrade, he did well until he eliminated himself. Also, we saw the return of Luke Harper. That's nice. Nice. Also, Mustafa Ali. Ouch. He suffered a bit badly from that table spot. And turns out for once they went for the obvious pick, and Braun Strowman won the Battle Royal. Again, it's not really going to help anything. I mean, it may look like they're building some sort of Samoa Joe versus Braun Strowman feud, considering what happened on SmackDown. But that also depends on what happens on the Superstar Shake-Up next week, so who knows. Enough with the pre-show, let's get to the main card. And it started out pretty interesting, because we started with the Universal Championship match. Paul Heyman came out during the opening segment with Alexa Bliss and Hulk Hogan. He walked down to the ring and said if Brock Lesnar's not going to main event the show, he's going to get his match over with. So Brock came out, Seth came out, and Brock jumped him before the bell. He beat the crap out of him for a little while, rolled him back in. Finally got the referee to ring the bell. Bell then took him to Suplex City a couple of times. But at one point, and then went for the F5, but Seth countered it, knocked down the referee, low-blowed Lesnar. The referee got back up. Curb stomp, curb stomp, curb stomp. That was it. That was the match. Brock Lesnar beat him up before the bell rung, after the bell rung, one low blow, three curb stones, and Seth Rollins is bit my tongue there, but yeah, Seth Rollins has won the Universal Championship, which is what I predicted. So hey, that's nice. And yeah, the title's finally off Brock. We didn't see him on Raw or SmackDown last week. So no, this week. Sorry, what am I talking about? And yeah, looks like he's going to be gone for a little bit. And Seth and we can finally have that championship on Raw, so maybe he can actually build as a useful title. Because Brock's title reign has been absolute crap. And again, nobody's had a good reign with that belt. Yeah, the Universal Championship is such a waste of a title that I really feel like they should just scrap that title and bring back the World Heavyweight one, because at least that has some pedigree to it. But yeah, happy for Seth to win. Wasn't much of a match, really. Decent moment, but I feel like it should have been more of a match, really. Really. Like, Seth should have gotten a little more offense before he won instead of that. But hey. Guess Brock couldn't be asked. But then again, I don't know that for certain. Next up, AJ Styles versus Randy Orton. This match, it was good. It was a fine match, but it suffered from a couple of problems. One being the crowd. They were distracted. Not without reason, because WWE has a habit of doing this where they have these giant lights, these giant spotlights all over the arena. And this one happened to shine straight into the eyes of the fans. Hell, even Randy Orton commented on it, saying that he wanted to apologize on behalf of WWE for them being blinded by that damn spotlight. And the second thing was, apparently AJ got injured during the match, during a superplex that kind of went wrong on his behalf. I'm not sure if that had too much to do with it, but it felt like this match just never really got going, and AJ just, and you know, it was a good match, but it felt like a very good main event for SmackDown as opposed to a WrestleMania match. It could have been a lot better. Maybe my expectations were a bit high, but this was one of the matches I was looking forward to, so kind of had to take what I could get. It was fine, nothing wrong with it. Although I hope that injury to AJ is just nothing too special, and that he's back on his feet in no time. Because I'm still holding out hope for that Taker match. I still want to see those two fight, and if it happens to be a Saudi Arabia show, that's fine by me. Because the alternative at the moment isn't that exciting in my opinion. Next, we had the SmackDown Tag Team title match. This was a really fun match. You know, as much as I despise the WWE style of multi-team tag matches where, you know, there are 4 teams in a fatal 4-way, yet only 2 people can be in the ring at all times as legal participants. That's around for another day. Again, I don't want to make this video a 2.5 hour like I did my predictions video, so I want to try and get through these as fast as possible to a degree. But I will say this: it was the standouts in this match was Ricochet, Cesaro, and Sheamus. Well, Ricochet and Cesaro specifically. Like Cesaro just grabbing Ricochet and swinging him around for, I think someone counted 30 times. Meanwhile, Sheamus just grabbing grabbing a lot of different people, and while he was swinging Ricochet around, he just did just hammering their chests in on the ropes like he usually does. And then there's Ricochet's athleticism, you know, escaping the Tower of Doom unscathed, doing a lot of very special flying maneuvers and all that. He was doing really well for himself. Again, it made the match exciting. Of course, my prediction came true. The Usos won, which is a little weird. And then, if I can talk a little bit about what happened on SmackDown. SmackDown had another SmackDown Tag Team title match. The Usos defending against the Hardys. Which is interesting because that was the match I thought was going to be at WrestleMania, because that was what they were talking about, you know. The Uso brothers versus the Hardy brothers. I've heard some theories saying that because this was a lot of feel-good moments at WrestleMania, maybe this one should have just been left out, because, you know, Hardy's winning would be a feel-good moment. Speaking of, and I forgot to mention it, but yeah, the Hardys won the SmackDown Tag Team titles on SmackDown. So yeah, they defended their titles against 4 teams at WrestleMania, and then lost the titles the next week, at the next SmackDown to the Hardys. So there. The Hardys, mind you, who were on the pre-show in that Battle Royal. They were the last ones eliminated before the celebrities were eliminated, but hey. Up next... Yeah, fun match. Next up, we had an interesting one. The Falls Count Anywhere match. Shane McMahon versus The Miz. Oh, this one. This was a interesting match in that there was a lot of, as a Falls Count Anywhere match, there was a lot of brawling all over the place. It features a lot of George Mizanin, you know, The Miz's dad, and his his lack of expression face. But yeah, you know, the brawl was actually really nice. You know, they used a lot of the environment really well. Shane took a really nasty bump when he was knocked over the guardrail, landed on the top of a golf cart, and then slid off and hit the concrete almost head first. Yeesh. Surprised he didn't get knocked out by that. And I was wrong in my prediction on this one. First one I got wrong on the main card, in which Miz, they climbed up a high rafter where they usually have a camera, and then Miz superplexed Shane down through some padded floors. However, Shane was lying on top of him. The referee saw that. Shane wins. So this story might continue. It also might not. I'm not entirely sure. I mean, I don't think Shane alluded to that they were going to continue with this. Maybe. We'll see what happens next week. Oh, they may just trade Miz over to Raw. I don't know. But yeah, this was a fun match. Not the best I've ever seen. I've seen a lot better brawl matches, but this was fun. Up next, we had the other Fatal 4-Way for tag team matches. It was the Fatal 4-Way for the women's tag team title match. A couple of things to note about this one. Beth Phoenix did really fine for herself, so if the rumors about her staying as an active competitor is true, I wouldn't be against it. There was some good story bits with Sasha and Bayley being both put in the sharpshooter by Natalya, and I don't remember if it was Sasha or Bayley who grabbed the other arm to make sure that she didn't tap out. Also, speaking of Sasha and Bayley, Sasha Banks, you have the worst frog splash in the business right now. Like, her frog splash it doesn't look good at all. Please stop doing it. It's like, just because Eddie Guerrero happens to be one of your heroes, that doesn't mean you need to take his moves when you can't do them. Same thing goes for the Miz in his figure 4. It's just terrible. So yeah, like, don't do moves of people you admire just if you can't do them properly. Again, people who haven't mentioned Eddie Guerrero as one of the biggest inspirations, like Kevin Owens, Seth Rollins, they can do much better frog splashes than Sasha Banks can. So yeah. And finally, I was actually kind of surprised, but I was right. My prediction came true. The Iconics won. The Iconics won the damn women's tag team titles. Ooh, I was happy with that because, again, don't like Sasha and Bayley as a team. I feel like they should be enemies, especially with Sasha, particularly with Sasha as a heel. And like, sure, they did some good teamwork here, but again, I really don't like them as a team. So I'd much rather just end this partnership, have Sasha turn heel, and we can start a feud from there that we never really got in 2018. But yeah, I'm happy that titles are off Sasha and Bayley, and the Iconics get to run with it. And so far, I mean, they're good. Again, good characters. They know how to get people to hate them. It's alright. That was fun. Don't think I have much else to say about that match, really. It was okay. Like, the winner was nice, but it wasn't all that exciting of a match. What's exciting, though, is the next one, which is easily match of the night. It was the WWE Championship match. Kofi Kingston versus Daniel Bryan. So much good stuff here. Great storytelling from Daniel Bryan, just halting Kofi's offense here, holding him down. Kofi just, hearing the arena just explode with Kofi chant, everyone booing the crap out of Bryan, even to the point where Bryan actually, mocked the universe by going into the corner and just going for the old yes chant, even though he has said that the yes movement is dead. Like, going for that, and everyone is just screaming, "No, no!" Oh, I haven't heard that in quite some time. People are chanting against Bryan, but they really were hoping for Kofi Kingston to win this one. And guess what? He did. Kofi Kingston, after 11 years on here, and ever since and at a time where I just thought that up the last few years, and I had given up hope that Kofi Kingston would ever be WWE Champion. But here we are. It's 2019, and Kofi Kingston is the WWE Champion. Yes! There's only two things I have to criticize about this match, and it actually has nothing to do with the match itself. It is that when they first came out around the ring, I saw a podium with a cloth on it, and it looked like there was a title shape under that cloth. Like, wait, what is that? Are they debuting a new? Does that mean Kofi's winning this match? And then but then they placed the WWE Championship on top of it, like Daniel Bryan's title on top of it, and like, oh, I guess it's just a podium, and they used that stamp. But as it turns out, I should have been. I was right in my first inkling, because when Kofi won, they took down the WWE Championship, pulled off the cloth, and revealed the old leather-strapped WWE Championship with Kofi's nameplates on it. So yeah, by showing that podium, they kind of spoiled who was going to win. Another thing that spoiled it, that's the second thing I had a problem with. Now, of course, when I watch WWE events, I rarely, if ever, go on the internet. It's like, usually, my pay-per-view setup is usually like this. I know you can't see me probably, but I turn off the lights. I just turn on the TV and I watch it, well, kind of from this chair. So yeah, the only lights is coming from the TV and from the bathroom in case I have to go there. So I didn't know about this, but apparently WWE released a new line of T-shirts for Kofi Kingston as the new WWE champion during the match, not after, during, which is a rather huge spoiler that who's going to win this match. Now, granted, it helped that a lot of people did focus on the match itself and didn't really pay attention to it. So, hey, it was still a great moment when Kofi Kingston finally won the championship. But yeah, that's a bit of a problem to spoil that now. But yeah, this was a great match. I loved it. I loved the intensity. I loved Bryan's work in this match. I loved how Kofi played the step up hero here. I loved how much he got into it. I loved the works that they did here. It was great. I loved it. It was great. I loved a lot of things about this match. So yeah, happy with that. Up next we have another championship match. It's Samoa Joe versus Rey Mysterio. This one was really short. Apparently Rey Mysterio was like the reports that I read that Rey was cleared to compete was correct because he did compete. However, it seems like his injuries was probably a lot worse than we thought because he just went out there. He whirled around Joe for a little bit, tossed him into the rope, 619, jumped at him, Joe catches him, Coquina clutch, Rey passes out, done. 1 minute, just a 1 minute match, and Samoa Joe retains. I mean, I got it right, but yeah, that was quick. It wasn't a squash match, but it kind of was. So yeah, for those of you who were looking forward to that match, I'm sorry to tell you it wasn't much of a match. I mean, it was a match, but there wasn't really much to say about it. It was essentially a squash. So yeah, I mean, I hear some people like the fact that it makes Joe look like a killer. I mean, sure, but it doesn't really make for good match quality, in my opinion. I feel like you could make Joe look like a killer by having him be vicious in his attack, rather than beating people quickly, because it doesn't make for much of a match, really. I know that was helped Goldberg back in the days, but at least Goldberg, like outside of that one shock moment, man, I'm talking about in circles here. With Goldberg, it's like there is some good shock value to it, but Samoa Joe is not quite on Goldberg's level of hype just yet. I love Samoa Joe, probably more than Goldberg actually, but even I'm not gonna sit here and bullshit you by telling you that he is on the level of Goldberg in terms of hype. Up next we have we have Drew McIntyre versus Roman Reigns. This was just felt like a Raw match, honestly. Just a standard match. Like, Drew got a lot of offense in here and there. Like, he did some good stuff with a headbutt and the hanging in tree of woe and just grabbing Reigns as he's standing on top of it. Right? But eventually we got to the standard. Superman punch, spear, and there you go. Again, like I said in the predictions video, it's Roman Reigns. I know what to expect at this point. Again, I don't really hate Reigns. I just don't care about him, honestly. So yeah, he won. Drew didn't really do much in this match. And it looks like we might not see Drew for a while, because reports say that he got injured on the past SmackDown. when he joined forces with Sheamus and Cesaro to take on the New Day. Okay, weird choice. Maybe he's being moved to SmackDown, who knows? Which is disappointing because I was hoping he could be Seth's next challenger. But hey. Up next we have a match I was really looking forward to, and that is Triple H versus Batista. So, if I can start with entrances, Batista's was really nice, you know, coming out this Hollywood style with, you know, dozens of limousines and bodyguards, and it was really nice to see him with the machine gun pyro again. And you know, only thing to criticize about that entrance is, well, what everyone saw. He tripped when he first went into that ring. So yeah, not too good there. Triple H had a Mad Max inspired entrance this time around, coming on a huge having a huge CG movie there, and then coming out in a huge customized. I haven't seen Mad Max. I own Fury Road, but I haven't seen it yet. I have a huge backlog of movies I haven't seen yet that I own. But yeah. I haven't seen any Mad Max, so I don't know if those cars have a special name or if they're just, you know, cars. But hey. But yeah, it was cool until Michael Cole said that, "How cool was that?" That ruined it. That really ruined it. Michael Cole is the antithesis of cool. That's just a fact. Anyway, the match itself. I see people are a bit conflicted about this one. On the one hand, it was a bit slow, and I can agree to that. It was a bit slow, and it was the longest match on the card. But considering it was Batista's last match, I think you can give them that. Especially since it was no holds barred. And speaking of that, damn! There was a lot of good use of weapons here. I mean, Triple H early on pulled out a toolbox and smashed that over Batista's head. Pulled out a chain, started smacking him across the back with it. You know, kind of like they did in the Hell in a Cell match. Speaking of which, he also used it to, you know, chain up his face. And then he brought out some tools. I don't know what they're called exactly in English. Again, for those of you who don't know, I'm Norwegian, so I don't know every English word ever imagined. But he brought out some tools, sort of the things that you bend things with, and he used it on Batista's fingers. It's like, gee. And then he brought out a chair, smacked him across the face a couple of times, and then pinned him down with the chair, took out a couple of pliers, and just said, "That's a nice nose ring," and proceeded to pull out the nose ring. Jeebus! No, that was damn cool. I really enjoyed that. That's like, again, when you have no disqualifications, I want to see some brutality. We got to see a bunch of chair shots, use of stairs. Saw something I've never seen before with Triple H spearing Batista through the German announce table. We saw a callback, another callback to their Hell in a Cell match with Batista picking up Triple H for a Batista bomb. Triple H having the sledgehammer in his hand, going to swing it, and then Batista hits the Batista bomb before he can hit him with the sledgehammer, which is exactly how their Hell in a Cell match ended. However, this time Triple H actually kicked out of the Batista bomb. We saw spine busters from both men. We saw Triple H being driven headfirst into the steel steps with a DDT. And then the ending happened where Ric Flair came to Triple H's aid and handed him a sledgehammer, then went over to distract Batista. Triple H ran up, used the steel steps to deliver sort of a Superman sledgehammer, like Reigns' Superman punch, only with a sledgehammer. Hits him with a second pedigree. 1, 2, and there you go. Triple H has finally beaten Batista. And he gets to keep his career, and yeah, like I said, this was Batista's last match, and he confirmed this match on social media because he released a statement stating that he loved the business, but he is officially retired. So, hey, like I said, it was a great. It was great having you, Batista. You were great. You've had some excellent matches up through the years. You've had some great promos. You were a huge part of what made me love professional wrestling, especially since you were in the first match I ever saw and the match that made me love professional wrestling. Again, he's had a huge impact on it. I'm sad to see. It's sad to see him go, but it wasn't a bad way to go out. What was a bad way to go out was the next match. Baron Corbin versus Kurt Angle. Which, yeah, they went for it. They actually went for it. No surprises. No change. Baron Corbin versus Kurt Angle. No shenanigans. It was a straight up match. And Corbin beat the crap out of Angle. Angle got a few moves in with, he hit the Angle slam, hit a couple of suplexes, locked in the ankle lock. Corbin didn't tap, and Kurt never buckled down either. Again, it's something I've seen with Kurt a few times now, is that he does go for the ankle lock, but he never buckles down, lays down on his back and wraps his legs around it, because that's usually how he would win the match. That should have been a red flag. But credit to Curry, at least he didn't lose to the Deep Six again, like he did on Raw. But yeah, it's like and then Kurt surprised me by pulling out the moonsault, which I think he had stopped. I thought he had stopped doing it, but nope. There it was. He hit a moonsault. It actually looked decent, but he missed. Corbin picks him up. End of days. And there you go. Kurt Angle's career ends on a whimper like that. It's like Kurt pulled off some decent, but it wasn't really much of a. It was just such a weak match overall. There was no spectacle to it, and again, the crowd didn't start booing Corbin after he won. They just sort of sat there in silence, like, really? That's it? That's the end of Kurt Angle's match? Again, Batista got a much better one with an all-out war against Triple H, and Kurt just goes off like that. And yeah, I just remembered, I forgot to mention one thing. Elias's concert earlier, which had him actually step up a little bit, with the concert. He had a drum solo prepared, a piano ready while playing his guitar. But as he was doing it, as he was going to play the guitar alone, suddenly we get a video package of Babe Ruth, which I think is a baseball player of some kind. Again, I don't watch sports at all. Anyway, and as that video package ended, out comes John Cena. However, it was Doctor of Thugonomics John Cena. Yeah. Comes out, got some pretty decent lines on Elias, then knocks him down, 5-knuckle shuffle, picks him up for the FU, which he did actually call it the FU, hits the FU, and then walks away. So yeah, no Angle match. No match with Angle. And also, we didn't get to see Undertaker face Kurt Angle either, because when Kurt lost to Corbin, he just asked the crowd for one more time to chant "You suck" during his theme song, and then he walked away. He showed up the next night on Raw to basically get some comeuppance on Corbin by hitting him with an Angle slam and I think locking in the ankle lock. But then he was interrupted by the debuting Lars Sullivan, who who slammed him down and hit him with a flying headbutt. And again, I still question why WWE is allowing that thing to be a thing. Yeah. So yeah, not a good way for Kurt's career, for Kurt's last match to end. And now to talk about the final match on the card that I watched at the very least. Finn Balor versus Bobby Lashley for the Intercontinental Championship. A couple of things to note about this. Well, first of all, Finn was in demon mode. It's not the best demon paint I've seen, and it's a bit too much to use of that tongue. But for the most part, it was fine. You know, he had a decent showing. You know, having a lot of offense in there, and there was a pretty decent spot where he attempted to powerbomb Bobby twice, and then actually hit the powerbomb, which led into him going for the coup de grace. Hits 1, 2, 3, and Finn reclaims his championship. A couple of other things to note about the match is, one, what the hell was up with Bobby Lashley's eyes? Like, why was he wearing yellow contacts? I didn't get that. And yeah, like some pointed out, and I agree with them, it was a lot scarier with those contacts than it was with Finn's demon paint at this point. And two, I gotta say, Bobby, your spear through the ropes is actually much better than when Big E does it. So yeah, that was surprising to me to see him do a spear through the ropes. But this was a relatively, standard match. Nothing really too special outside of the powerbomb and the spear through the ropes. But yeah, nothing really that special. Probably could have. It wasn't all that special. Not sure of a match, really. And that was it. After that, we had a few small segments backstage. They announced that WrestleMania 36 is going to be in Tampa Bay, and it seems to have some sort of pirate theme, which might indicate to me that Kairi Sane might have something to do with that. She was actually on Mania on the pre-show in the Battle Royal. Oh, hey, maybe she or her and Io as the Sky Pirates might be there. Who knows? Potentially. I don't really like it though, because I'd rather see Io and Kairi stay in NXT, but anywho, that would be where I would stop here. But I do have one last thing to talk about, that being the main event. Now, like I said, didn't watch the match, so I don't know anything about it except for one thing that I've heard from fans: the finish. And I've seen a few screenshots of it as well. Apparently, Becky, Ronda was going for Piper's Pit. Becky rolled her up, but her shoulder was still on the mat, and yet the ref still counted 3. So yeah, bit of an underwhelming ending to WrestleMania. And yeah, not exactly the way you want Becky Lynch to finally win, to finally beat Ronda Rousey. But there you go. Again, don't really care honestly, but I thought I should mention it since I'm probably not going to be making any more videos going forward. Now to talk about Raw, if there's anything to know. I've mentioned a few things already, Lars Sullivan debuting after Kurt Angle. Kurt Angle got some retribution on Baron Corbin. Then one major thing is that Elias came out. To throw a few rap bars of his own towards John Cena, ending by saying, "Whoever interrupts me next is a dead man." Ooh, you shouldn't have said dead man, because out comes The Undertaker, 24 hours late. So yeah, Taker missed his first WrestleMania since WrestleMania 16, and then he appears on the Raw the next night. What the hell? Anyway, Taker, no, he beats down Elias with a. No, he hits Elias with a big boot, choke slam, tombstone. Funny enough, he pins him for some reason, and the crowd just goes 1, 2, 3. And as soon as they do, he takes his hands up, and that's the end of it. Okay. Now the question being, is this leading towards a full-blown match between them at the next Saudi Arabia show? Potentially. Again, Elias is not bad. He's actually really good at what he does, but I'm not really sure I want to see that match. Again, AJ Taker, still want to see that more. Still want to see that. But hey, it's not the worst choice for an opponent. Again, I just really want to see AJ versus Taker. That's one of the only dream matches I have left. And from what I saw from both Raw and SmackDown, for once, Lacey Evans finally did something. She this time when she walked down, she smacked Becky in the face. So yeah, Becky Lynch. So it looks like Becky is facing Lacey Evans at the next pay-per-view, which I think is Money in the Bank, but I'm not entirely sure, but I think so. Yeah. So, I don't really know what to say. I haven't seen Lacey wrestle that much. I saw a couple of her matches in the I think it was the first Mae Young Classic where she was part of. I think so. And I saw her performance at the Rumble, which wasn't all that great. Her matches in the Mae Young Classic was okay. So yeah. My hope, though, is that Becky's going to have to pull double duty at the pay-per-view. Not only defending her championship against Lacey, hopefully the Raw title, but also defending against someone else. Defending the SmackDown title against someone else. Preferably Asuka. But that's wishful thinking. And finally, WWE teased something I was dreading. Kofi Kingston came out on Raw and challenged Seth to a winner-takes-all in the main event. Now, thankfully, the match ended in a DQ. On the other hand, the way that they did it was not good. They had them wrestle for like 6 minutes, then all of a sudden Sheamus and Cesaro attacked and causing a disqualification win. I think Kofi won by disqualification, I'm not entirely sure. And this led to a tag match between the two, which the crowd shit all over because yeah, they promised a winner takes all match, and they just brought over Sheamus and Cesaro from SmackDown for some reason just to have a tag match. So yeah, that was a weak ending to Raw. Speaking of tag matches, though, then we go over to SmackDown, which, holla holla, 4 tag team matches, player. I've already mentioned the Hardys winning the tag titles. The Iconics defended their belts against some local competitors. I mentioned there was a 6-man tag with the New Day facing off against Sheamus, Cesaro, and Drew McIntyre. And I think there was another tag match. Oh yeah, there was another 6-man, I believe, with Mustafa Ali, all I remember from that match really is that Randy Orton interrupted at the end and hit an RKO on, I think it was Mustafa Ali. And then he walked up the ramp while pretending to be blinded by the light, you know, to as a reference to the fact that his match was ruined by the lights being shone into everyone's eyes. But yeah, outside of the Hardys winning the tag team titles and the fact that apparently Paige is going to be bringing in some new talent to face the Iconics, which people have theorized might be the Sky Pirates. I'd rather not. Again, I'd like to keep them in NXT. But yeah, not much else I can say about SmackDown really. And then we have 205 Live, which, again, I mentioned the one thing that really was interesting, which is that Buddy Murphy and Tony Nese had the rematch, and Tony Nese won. Then we have NXT. Then we had NXT, which was basically, the same deal as always. Not really much of a show really when it's post takeover. The only thing of note was that they uploaded something to the YouTube channel in that the William Regal was meeting with Shayna Baszler backstage, and it was announced that Shayna will defend her title against Kairi Sane next week. However, with the added stipulation that if Kairi loses, she will not get another opportunity at the NXT Women's Championship. I'm not sure if that means as long as Shayna is champion or if it means ever. If it's ever, then I kind of hope Kairi wins this one, because I'd like to see her, again, stay in NXT and hopefully keep that championship. Hopefully have a better run with the title, because she didn't really have that long of a run. She won it at Brooklyn 4, I think. Then she lost at the Evolution, and then lost a 2 out of 3 falls match thanks to the horsewomen that Shane has around with her. But yeah, that's the end of that. That's the end of that, and that pretty much rounds out everything that happened happened from WrestleMania at WrestleMania and the post WrestleMania shows. Next week is the Superstar Shakeup. We could see some interesting changes there. I hope though that after the Superstar Shakeup is over, that we go full on to the separating the brands. Like, only Becky gets to go back and forth until she loses one of her titles. Then as soon as Becky loses one of her titles, we can finally move away from this whole thing, because yeah, they had superstars jumping back and forth during WrestleMania season, but now the WrestleMania season is over, we can finally move along and not go for an ending of the brand split, because again, like I said, ending the brand split will only cause more problems than it would solve. But yeah, that's the end of that. I'm just coming up on the 1 hour mark, maybe a little less. But yeah, there you go. I managed to get through WrestleMania and the post WrestleMania shows without going on like a windbag. So hey, the next video you'll see from me is probably just gonna be another ending for Star Wars: The Old Republic. I'm close to finishing the Imperial Agent. I just need to do a few things first before I get there. I'm probably not going to do any E3 this year. I didn't do any last year because I was actually on holiday at the time, and this week and this year doesn't really look like much is going. And it's like, it's a special I'm doing this video for a special occasion. Hopefully, like, if you do see a video from me, seeing my stupid face and all that, I probably finally got a camera. No, an actual camera I can use. But yeah, I wouldn't expect anything other than a Star Wars The Old Republic video for those of you who actually watch my channel. I somehow have 5 subscribers even though my content is kind of stingy with when it comes out. I don't know how that happened. But yeah, that's the end of that. That's the end of Wrestlemania season 10. A small channel update at the end. And I don't really have a good way to end this video, so yeah. Maybe I'll see you all next year for next year's WrestleMania. And yeah, I again don't have a way to end this video, so bye.